Share with the class.
Is it supposed to take place in the
I
future?
want you to ride me like a stallion, baby.
PR's my specialty.
Dream Warriors.
Beef carcasses.
It's amazing.
It is uncool.
They're fucking gacked up to 11.
No way. That's my sister.
Buckets of sweat.
Basically, everybody dies. Broadcasting live from inside the power band. This is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, the Wolverine, along with my faithful companions, Yar, Higo,
Hey.
and C-Lab Forever.
What is up?
Welcome to the podcast, folks. This week, we are somewhat going back to our roots and talking about a cult classic film from 1990. It is a sequel, and that film is Predator 2. So strap in and let's get ready to go for a ride.
So 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, dudes. What the fuck?
WTF, totally.
I love this movie. I love this movie so much.
I loved it, and my alter ego was like, this is just absurd.
Totally. You're never, ever, ever going to touch the original, so don't even try and take it for what it is. And
Exactly.
This hit me when I was probably 12 years old, and this is the perfect 12-year-old movie.
Just absolutely over the top action, which was, kind of the trend from 85 through some of the 90s. And this one does not disappoint.
I don't know if I'd ever seen it all the way through before this.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it.
I know I've seen the end of it. I remember seeing Danny Glover come out of the spaceship, but I don't really remember. I didn't really remember anything else in it. And I don't know if I was just, when I was younger, I was just like, oh, fuck this, it's not Arnold,
Yeah.
I thought it was an Arnold movie, and I was pissed off that Arnold wasn't in it, or, I don't know, by 1990, I might have just been kind of not paying attention to those kinds of movies as much.
It's possible. It's also possible that the absence of Arnold Ben was too much, because I'm pretty sure back in the day when this came out, and I was like, no, Arnold, come on. I mean, I love Danny Glover just fine, but I've seen it before, but only a few times, and I have definitely not seen it in many, many, many years, so it's nice to revisit.
Yeah, I couldn't have been more wrong, though. It's excellent. I loved it.
Good. I'm glad. I'm really glad that you dug it.
If I was being a petulant, Kylo Ren about it when I was in 1990, I was definitely wrong.
That's definitely it, dude. I think we both were, because there was no Arnold in it.
Yeah. New Arnold? What the fuck?
It makes total sense, though, that most people would be like, skip it because it's not an Arnold movie and it's not in the jungle. But I think for me, I was so young that I just treated it as a standalone separate movie. And, obviously my 12-year-old brain was not overly developed at the time. So I was like, swords and fucking discs that cut beef carcasses.
Just frisbees that cut stuff.
Damn, that frisbee nearly cut me in twain.
Exactly.
Because that's what...
Hey, everybody, I'm back. It's me, Gary Busey.
Hey, gang.
Aw, damn, that frisbee plumb cut me in twain.
I don't know if you have it, but I love that voice. Don't stop doing it.
It's like Gary Busey and Sam Elliott's foster son.
There you go. That voice needs a mustache to go with it. Okay, so where do we want to fly to first?
I watched the trailer to this, and it was the perfect trailer where he had that exact movie trailer dude do the trailer voice. And the tagline was, he's in town with a few days to kill. It was just oh my God.
Oh my God.
And I just loved it. I miss...
You gotta love that.
I miss old trailers, man. They literally don't make movies or trailers like they used to. And this is just the bomb.
Or movie posters either. It used to be the posters, the trailers, the movies themselves.
It's a rated R action film, which we haven't really had many of in a long time. Really, everyone was trying to go for the PG-13 bullshit for so long.
Well, I feel very much that this movie, and I guess this is sort of the segue into the quote high level, but I feel like this film was really trying really hard or too hard to be like, all right, we're going to over the top the violence to really get some attention here. You know what I mean? And they succeeded. This film had a NC-17 rating, and they had to chop it a little bit to get it down to an R.
Yeah, I hear you on the over the topness, but I didn't know it at the time until looking into it in the last few days. But the dude that directed it directed like Friday the 13th 5 or whatever. So it kind of has that horror-y gore feel to it in a way.
Hang on, Chad. Let's get that right for all the fans out there. It was Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child.
Ooh.
Because, you know, that's when that...
Is that the one that Dokken did a song for? Well, the Dream Warriors.
I gave up on all those after like the second or third, man. They just kept going.
Oh, my God. They were... I know, after the third one, I was like, enough.
Yeah.
I have two very... I don't know, two different opinions of this movie. Like, you know...
Share with the class.
Well, they're like in a quantum worlds kind of way. On the one hand, the movie is just ridiculous. It's like the opening scene is so ridiculous.
It's amazing.
The dialogue is so bad. Like, it's just amazing what he does. Like, I mean, it's the future, and he's driving around in a very shitty Impala, and they seemingly have an endless supply of them because he has another newer one later on after he trashes the first one. And, you know, it's like the dialogue is just ridiculous. I feel like a lot of it was for shock value. So on the one hand, I can say that this movie is somewhat of a turd, and the whole movie to me is really like the opening scene because it's so ridiculous, and then the end, which is very cool. You know, we get the final battle, and then the leader of the clan predator tosses him the flintlock pistol as a gift, as a trophy for beating one of them. And of course we see on the wall the Xenomorph skull, you know. So on the one hand, that's the whole movie to me. You know, it's just like, it's kind of like, all right, you know, and it's over the top, and it's just kind of stupid, and Jamaicans and like the Coke. It's just, so it's really just like the end of the movie. You know, that's where like all the lore exists. And I think that the film really is almost carried by that. Like, I kept thinking about the end throughout the whole film, and I couldn't wait to see the end part. And like that payoff enough was enough for the hour and 48 minutes, you know. But then on the other hand, on my other self, it's just great over the top action, you know, just in that like late 80s, early 90s style that you can't beat. I mean, I think like Jarhigo and I said in the pregame, it's that we were so jaded by Schwarzenegger not being in it, you know, that we were like, I'm not going to go see that. It's not cool enough. But now watching it as an adult now, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that opening scene is awesome. I love it. There's something about movies from that era that with the over the topness. I don't know. I got like like RoboCop-ish sort of vibes from it, you know. You know, is it supposed to take place in the future, Predator 2? Is it supposed to take place like
7 years in the future? Yeah.
7 years in the future, right? So yeah, this idea that like, you know, crime is out of control and there's like, you know, drug lords with fucking military weaponry coked out of their fucking minds just creating a fucking war on the streets. I don't know. I mean, it is so over the top. You don't get that anymore, and it just is. I loved the opening of that movie. I had so much fun with it.
Totally. And it turns out that it takes place in the same year as RoboCop, so there's certainly some synchronicity there.
Mm-hmm.
So wait a second. You're saying that in terms of the lore of the films, this one takes place in 97 and RoboCop takes place in 97?
So I saw somewhere, yes.
Interesting. How come there was never a Predator versus RoboCop?
I just was thinking that while you were talking. I was like, these movies should exist in the same universe.
They really should.
I mean, if Aliens does, then...
Yeah, exactly. How cool would it be if Aliens, Predator, and RoboCop all shared a universe? That'd be fucking legit.
Well, they do in our universe, so that's the most important
thing. There you go. It's official.
Boom.
On the beginning and the silliness of the just like crappy old car, and
It's amazing.
Danny Glover like pinballing in at frickin' Mach 1 to save the day. And then like ripping the door off his car, and like it's just like, what are you doing, bro? Scene.
It is just amazing.
I want to drop one of my nuggets now because it's perfect, where it turns out the studio was pushing the director really fucking hard for Steven Seagal to play the lead.
Oh
my God.
Which, like, it's so much the opening in the streets fucking sequence where he has the sleeveless vest and the beret. So like it totally has that feel, man. It's such a perfect side by side for that.
yeah.
I'm feeling Gino Foligno. Like I'm in my mind. I'm taking Gino Foligno, the Italian salami, and I am putting him in those scenes in my head.
Oh man, and it would just be horrible. It would have ruined the movie, but just thinking about it for a moment is just so entertaining.
Yeah, but even with that ridiculous accent, that would make it like perfect. Absolutely perfect.
A fake Guido versus Predator.
What's going on over here?
Hey, I feel like if this movie starred Steven Seagal, it would have been a short film where Predator just fucking murders him in the first 10 minutes. He would have tried to do some fucking Aikido on the Predator, and he just would have like ripped him in half.
Yeah, he would have tried to like catch the frisbee, and it would have just cut his hand off.
Yeah, just would have been. Hey, did you know I taught the Predator his secret moves?
Yeah, the Predator hired him.
Exactly, he's the sidekick.
Like all the other MMA fighters.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I love that, number one, I love that they were pushing for Seagal, and number two, I'm so thankful that the director was like, nah.
Yeah, I remember when this came out, I thought Danny Glover was a weird choice. You know, obviously coming off Lethal Weapon, you know, he was definitely an action, I wouldn't say action star in the same sense as Mel Gibson maybe, but, you know, he was definitely an action movie guy.
Yeah.
But I just thought, like, you know, I was like, no Arnold and Danny Glover? I was like, that's weird. It is uncool, and therefore I will not be watching.
You mentioned, Kev, in your first Quantum Self that you appreciated the ending in terms of the major component of the lore. And while I love the ending, I think one of the things I like the most about this, and especially the first Predator, is that it's like playing into the most basic of instincts, no pun intended, and I'm not going to uncross my legs without underwear, in regards to being toppled off the top of the food chain. I just think that the idea of a predator coming down and being kind of all powerful and hunting humans is just like terrifying, and the like prey becoming stronger and stronger throughout the films. Like Arnie becomes more and more capable and setting, you know, traps, and eventually conquers the predator, and Danny Glover along a similar arc. I feel like he's a tough guy fighting drug lords, and then it just goes to shit, and it's no longer about drug lords, and then he's like disarmed, his guns are all gone, and he ends up with one of the predator's weapons. Like, I really like that through line, and it kind of has a, maybe not a lore feel, but it has a really, I don't know, I think it's a really strong story. Like, it is so basic and so primordial in terms of prey becoming the hunter, the hunted becoming the hunter, that I really dug it. So it's another layer that I really appreciated.
Wow, I'm glad you just said that, because that made me realize that I think I'm a little jaded about, like, we've seen this type of film so many times.
Yeah.
I think I was a little more jaded than I needed to be. That's a good point. Really good point. But I want to echo what Ben said. Just the opening of the movie, you know, Harrigan flying in like a bat out of hell, like literal war zone. Like they don't make movies like that anymore.
They don't, man. The dude like slapping cocaine into his face.
Oh my God, dude. The, like South American drug lords that are like hyper coked up. It's just ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
Fucking Danny Glover rooting around in the back of his fucking trunk, fucking pulling out hand cannon after hand cannon. No, bigger. And then he ends up pulling out like a sawed-off shotgun with a scope on it. Like,
oh yeah, baby.
and then blasts himself over there, and he's like, assholes, and just blasts them all point blank 5 times, cocking his shotgun. Like, he would have gotten fucking Swiss cheesed over there, man. It was just perfect.
Yeah. 2 things about that. I love it was like, oh no, I'm going to get the really good gun that's, glued to the inside of the trunk of the car, the lid, you know what I mean? The trunk lid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then before he goes over to shoot those assholes, he takes the time to drive the car forward, then back up to rip the door off. I was like, right on.
So good.
It's so ridiculous. We definitely need to spend a minute picking apart this opening scene.
It's pretty legit.
I mean, his entrance, yeah, it is legit. His entrance is just the best. You know, it's like all this complete and total chaos going around. He comes flying down that road going like 50 miles an hour, hits a van straight away, knocks it out of the way, and it just jumps out and just starts barking at everybody, you know?
With his little pea shooter.
What the hell's going on here? Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, he just rolls in. He's like, so, give me an update, guys. And they're all just like behind this one car. Danny's like, it's a really complicated situation, boss, you know? I got this. Hang on.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I'll be right back.
It's just, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
It's beautiful, man.
This was like right around the same time as the Lethal Weapon movies, right?
Yeah, right after. Yeah.
It's like he's playing Riggs in this movie.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Whoa.
This movie is Lethal Weapon 3, as far as I'm concerned.
There you go. Lethal Weapon 3. Predator 2.
Yeah, it kind of is. Harrigan is definitely like very, him and Riggs would have a little bit of a problem with each other. I think it'd be too, they'd be like, this town's not big enough for the both of us. This town's not big enough for the both of us, Riggs.
Ooh, whoa, that was really good, man. You just nailed that, dude.
That was good. I think Murtaugh / Harrigan is salty because his partner Riggs got killed. So he's a solo guy now.
Dude, Jesus, man. This is some really good show lore. I like it.
So I think that's why, yeah. He's pissed. He just like is out. He's out for blood, man. He just wants to fuck all these drug lords up. Because maybe these guys killed Riggs, and all of a sudden a Predator drops in and he can take out all of his anger on the Predator. This is definitely Lethal Weapon 3.
Definitely. And then in the Riggs and Murtaugh universe, like that all took place in L.A., correct?
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did, right?
Yes, it did.
So there you go. He's already there. No plane ride needed like Gino Felino would.
And his tagline of "Get too old for this shit" switches over to "Shit happens."
Yeah. I wanted to hear "I'm getting too old for this shit" in this, man. It would have just been so perfect.
I did too, but I got to be honest with you, man. Like he said so many times in this movie, I feel like this was almost more the tagline. Like, yeah, shit happens was definitely one of them, but like everywhere he went, it was just, hey, get the hell out of my way. Everybody get the hell out of my way. Everybody move. Everybody get out of here. Right? Like he just everywhere he went, he was just charging in, guns blazing, man. Like he did not care one whit about his life or anybody else's around him, man.
Get the hell out of my way, Heienemann.
That's it. You got it, man.
Yeah, the Heienemann guy was a bit of a played by the legendary Robert Davi, but it was just such a he could have totally have been wearing one of the cop uniforms from Demolition Man with the like Demolition Man glasses and stuff. He was just such a cardboard cutout of a character.
You know what he did? He walked off of the Die Hard set over, and then on the way to this set, he walked through the Demolition Man set, grabbed a uniform, and then rolled up in there. Right? I mean,
totally.
Davi, to me, just to go on a little thing about Davi, he is just an underrated, underappreciated 80s, 90s icon. In my film universe, for sure, possibly the EBD universe. I just, Die Hard, Goonies, like the list goes on. The guy's awesome.
Oh, he's been in everything, man. He's legendary.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Just legend, So, but just to circle back to the beginning real quick, like I just like when the Colombians go upstairs, the amount of weaponry, hardware that they have, and coke that they sniff is just bananas, man.
They're fucking gacked up to 11. It's unbelievable.
Oh my God. Definitely gacked up to 11, dude.
It's the traditional, like, let's do some stupid action shit for the first 5 minutes to make people stoked that they are sitting in the theater, and then immediately shift gears into, like, this is not about the drug trade, even though the cops still think it is. Like, they're so off their game and have no idea what they're stepping into.
Right.
And then Busey immediately reinforces that by basically saying, like, you have no idea what you're stepping into, you know? So it's a perfect setup.
That's true. Yeah, and
Busey was so perfect in this, man. I fucking love that dude.
Fucking Busey, man. The concept of what you're dealing with is way over your head.
Utah, give me 2. Anybody? Nobody got a bite on that one?
Yeah, man, totally. Bit of Point Break.
Ooh, it's a good one.
We gotta do Point Break because I'm not a fan, and I want to just be beaten mercilessly by you two.
Oh, I cannot wait to beat you. That will be a lot of fun.
Opening aside, considering we're 30 minutes in on the first 3 minutes of the movie.
Yep.
The Scooby-Doo style, posse, all the various cops and knucklehead cops, including Paxton that gets brought in for the speech. I just love how they're just like, I don't know, they're kind of cartoony. They're just like the most stereotypical, like, we're the cops that don't follow the rules, but we're not the corrupt cops. They're like, we're the cops that are so good that we're not going to follow the rules kind of bullshit.
Right, we're like the adrenaline junkie cops.
But they're the adrenaline junkie cops with, like, hearts of gold, like, they're not out there, like, Training Day style fucking making deals on the side, like they're actually trying to take down these cartels.
Yeah, it's like, it's taken all the tropes that came up in 80s, action cop flicks and just turned them up to 11. It's like a caricature of those.
Yeah.
Of those tropes. It's like, yeah, but it's terrific. It's done really well.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, like one of my favorite ones is right in the beginning. It's like Harrigan comes plowing in. He's like, what's going on, guys? And then, like, they're giving him a sit rep. He's like, where's the SWAT team? And then there's like there's a guy right behind him in kind of SWAT gear. Seems like he's in command of the situation. I can't really tell. And he's like, Harrigan starts running in. And he's like, just let him go with him. Like straight away.
The guy's like, I can't let you in there, Harrigan. He's like, fuck you. Get out of my way.
I can't let you go in there. Okay, well, just go with him. It's just so stupid, man.
Yeah.
But I feel like the posse in this are like you said, Benny, they're caricatures. They're the same old tropes, but they're very much like everybody in Predator 1. But for me, watching Predator 1, like, you don't realize early on that it's a horror-esque last man standing movie and everyone's gonna die, whereas in this one everyone except for Danny Glover's gonna get just brutally murdered or is likely to get brutally murdered. So they're almost like the red shirts in Star Trek, where, like, they come in and they're all like goofy fucking randos, and then you're like, oh, these guys are all getting their shit pushed in, they're all gonna die.
I like that. Goofy randos.
You pick up pretty quick that they're just fodder, like, they're just going to get picked off. No doubt.
Basically, everybody dies. What?
Whoa, meta.
Ooh.
Did I just do that? In this film, everybody dies.
But they're not like, I mean, you cared about them, so that they're a little more. They're a little more than red shirts, like there's enough, you weren't enough about them that you actually care. Even Danny, like, who's, in the movie for about 10 minutes. Ruben Blade's character. Like,
yeah, I love Danny, man. He was great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And Maria Conchita Alonso, man, I'm a huge fan of hers, man. She was in Running Man and, like, all these films.
Yeah.
In that era. And,
But she's the only other one that survives.
Yeah. Which, similar throwback to the first one, the other lady survives.
Oh, wait, you're right, because she's pregnant.
Yeah, and then the other lady in Predator 1 survived because she was unarmed, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, no, he's right, Ben. That was it, because in the same subway scene where she is let go, somebody makes a comment that the reason why the civilians died is because they were all armed. Because in that subway scene was so ridiculous.
Oh my God.
I love how like they start getting harangued. That guy gets harangued by the gang members. He pulls out a gun, and then every other passenger pulls out a 38. I was like, what? Come on.
Dude, it was like the Naked Gun. I loved that.
It was a little too much Naked Gun for this movie. Like,
which I loved. But that was exactly what everyone that wasn't from the West Coast thought it was like, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I was into it.
The next major beat, it's not necessarily in this order, but the next major scene that I hadn't recalled but was super, I don't know, memorable was the penthouse Jamaicans gutting the dude getting fucked by his girlfriend scene. You know, like the helicopter shot of the girl just completely going nuts on top of him, and then, you know, Predator comes in and fucks it all up. I love that whole sequence.
And I loved how the penthouse had that like kind of Aztecian sort of
right
decor, like the way the walls and the pillars were built.
That's so ridiculous.
So dumb.
It's like why, like it wasn't even really. It was just like a giant room with a bed in it, really, and columns. Like
and columns.
You don't ever actually ever see anything else about the, you know, penthouse or whatever it is. Like it's just the dude has his like fucking bed set up in between these columns, like right off the elevator. Like you get off the elevator and his fucking bed's right there.
Walk straight in. At the same time, you could imagine a total douchey drug lord doing something like that, but it was also just so dumb.
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely, man. You know, it's all about the machismo.
Yeah.
When you walk into my penthouse, you're going to see me having sex.
I want you to ride me like a stallion, baby.
Goodness gracious. Trope-alicious, man. Can we, since you brought up the Jamaicans, can we talk about the trope that is the Jamaicans, please?
Oh my God, dude.
Jamaican voodoo. They don't practice voodoo in Jamaica, but okay.
They don't? No.
Just so dumb, man.
Dude, the guy that's like interrogating, the guy that basically mutilates the drug lord, those gold pants, and then he's wearing a wristband that looks like it's like made out of like snake skin, and it has big long frilly fringes on it. It's just like on one hand. Oh my God, man.
When they went to pick up Harrigan, Ben, they roll up in a caddy with a zebra top.
Oh yeah, gold caddy with a zebra top.
You know, like I don't know how all that weirdness signifies Jamaicans, but
you guys might want to cut down.
Yeah, exactly. I totally pictured like King Willie driving a car just like the Duke in Escape from New York with the chandeliers on the back or whatever.
Oh, wow. But with a zebra top.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only thing that caddy was missing was some chandeliers, man.
That's it, man.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, the amount of smoke that came out of that car when he got out, like he was like, "Yeah, you guys might want to cut down." It's like you would be so baked.
It'd be so high, man.
You would be so high, you wouldn't even be able to talk to King Willie, dude.
The King Willie thing too, man. It's just like Jamaicans doing some voodoo ritual and gutting a dude and getting killed and skinned. The skin bit was like probably one of the more memorable elements of that other scene. And then, you know, King Willie just throwing chicken bones on a barrel over and over again. It was just so cheese dick, but so funny and like
the whole thing, man.
It's just exactly the kind of stereotypical bullshit that everyone thought made sense around that time, but was just so not at all. You know?
Well, it was also, you know, there was a very chicken or the egg thing with that stuff, Chad, because it was like, this was also putting in the minds of people what Jamaicans were like. And
that's fair.
You know, it's interesting to point out, too, that Marked for Death, it was a Seagal film, came out right around the same time as this, which also featured Jamaican voodoo drug gangs.
It's so fucked, man.
I mean, how did Jamaicans get pulled into this shit? Was there even such a thing as like Jamaican drug gangs in the like 80s, 90s?
It's said that there was in St. Louis, I think, and New York, but I mean, obviously it wouldn't be voodoo, but I don't know
Right.
whether they just like took the idea and dialed it up or what. But I mean, we have this weird kind of insider awareness considering that a large part of people that we worked with on Nantucket were Jamaican. So like,
Yeah.
maybe we're a little more aware of the Jamaican culture than other people, but it's just like, it is not what was in this movie.
No.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, we've all worked with, known, and have been friends with Jamaicans, and they are absolutely 100% not like this.
Nope.
But it's just so, looking back on it now and seeing it now, it's hilarious. But at the time, it's like, holy shit, guys. Talk about stereotypes.
And they also, I feel like all these like Jamaican voodoo movies, like the way they talked was like there was this super bizarre cryptic quality to it. You know, they were always saying things like the bones, they always come out the same. You know, like that's what he says. It's so dumb. Like, what is he doing in the alley? Like, I didn't get that either. You know, like, okay, we're gonna take you to meet King Willie. All right, here we go. We're here. You know, Harrigan, what does he live in an alley? I can't do a good Harrigan.
That's all right.
Wasn't bad.
I love how he throws the bones and kind of meets with Harrigan or whatever, and just they bullshit for a minute. Harrigan's like, okay, bye. And then 2 seconds later, the Predator just jumps down and fucking cuts his head off. You know, like, there's just zero interest in developing the Jamaican element of the plot. It's just another device for fast forwarding the story.
Well, not even that, but it's like 1 second after Harrigan walks around the corner, the Predator appears, who he's looking for, who he goes to see King Willie about. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It's funny.
King Willie live in an alley.
Yeah, that was an interesting performance, King Willie.
Yeah, very, very nuanced, Ben. So real quick, I just looked up Marked for Death. It actually came out the same year as this movie. So we had a double dose of Jamaican voodoo drug lords.
I don't want to derail us too much here, but I would like a research project done by Jimmy Google to determine exactly when Jamaican Me Crazy became a flavor, because maybe it was this year.
Dude!
With Marked for Death and Predator 2.
Chad, I don't think you need a research project for that. I think you just figured it out.
We should do a fake advertisement for Seagrams.
That has to happen.
Today's episode of In This Episode Every Dies is brought to you by Seagrams Golden Wine Coolers Jamaican Me Crazy flavor.
No, you'd have to say it in that terrible Jamaican accent. Jamaican Me Crazy. I think so we got 2 Jamaican doses in the same year, and it's important to point out that the leader of the Jamaican voodoo gang in Marked for Death was Screwface.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's right, Screwface.
It's just so dumb. It's like King Willie. What do you do? I'm going to meet King Willie. He lives in an alley in L.A.
Throws chicken bones on a 50-gallon drum for fun.
Them bones, they always the same.
I think that maybe the secret reason that this podcast exists is to connect the various Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler flavors to the EBD Extended Cinematic Universe.
Well, it's one reason.
I
I can't remember what the other flavors are, but we got 2.
One of them is like Calypso Crunch, or no, not Crunch.
That sounds like a cereal. Calypso Colada, I think, is what it was.
It is Calypso Colada, Jamaican Me Crazy.
I told you I didn't want to take us off on a
Jamaica Me Happy, man. Isn't it Jamaica Me Happy, not Jamaica Me Crazy?
Yeah, it's Jamaica Me Happy, Wild Berries, Strawberry Daiquiri, Peach Fuzzy Navel, Black Cherry Fizz.
Are you reading that?
I'm ad-libbing it. No. And Barefoot Bruno. I'm looking at a picture. I love that these are the real flavors. I'm not just making it up.
Holy fuck.
Dude, I love that they have an entire website literally dedicated to just these beverages.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It is Jamaican me happy, but I'm going to stick with Jamaican me crazy because fuck it.
Oh, shit. It is Jamaican me happy. Sorry.
Yeah. Jamaican me happy, man.
And it says on the website, just real quick, Ben, sorry, hold that thought. The fan favorite flavor is Jamaican me happy.
Wow. That's only because they didn't provide a Barefoot Bruno in every case. There were only one in every 100 cases, like Wonka's golden ticket.
Yeah. We might need to start inventing more Seagrams flavors based on other, like Danny Glover should have one. And
well, maybe maybe Jamaican me crazy is the Predator 2 varietal of Seagrams.
Oh, definitely. It definitely is.
I love it.
Oh, dude, Bahama Mama? That's a great flavor name.
Who fucking drinks these things?
I will say this, though. I wasn't going to say this. I was secretly going to get a case just so I could, nerd around with it and possibly take some photos or something that we could use on the show.
Uh-huh.
And when I went to Costco a couple of weeks ago, I asked the girl, because I noticed that there wasn't any in there. And I was like, I could have swore you guys had some cases of Seagram's escapes. I couldn't even, I felt so weird asking it and saying it out loud, right? I was like, I could have swore you guys had some cases of Seagram's escapes. And she was like, she's like, there's none over there? And I was like, no. She's like, well, we must have sold out. She's like, they're crazy popular. Those things go real fast. And I was like, wow, okay.
Really? Wow.
I love that.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Really, I could not believe that. She's like, we should have some back in tomorrow or the next day for sure. I was like, okay, that's not going away anytime soon.
That's so sick.
Oh, dude, one of the names is Orange Sassy Swirl.
That's actually my nickname.
Pink Pineapple Passion.
The Mexican guys that I worked with in the restaurant when I was a kid used to call me Orange Sassy Swirl.
Dude, your new name, it's official, dude.
Orange Sassy Swirl.
Orange Sassy Swirl.
Definitely.
All right.
And our friend Orange Sassy Swirl. Should I redo the beginning of the show right now? Since we're so derailed, we've gone into outer space.
I knew it was going to happen. I'm sorry.
Whatever.
Well, Kev, Seagrams.
Cold and coolers. Seagram. Hey, real quick, they've got Black Cherry Fizz, and then they have this flavor name is super bizarre. Michigan Cherry Fizz. I don't know how that fits into the whole, tropical theme.
Michigan Cherry Fizz?
Those Michiganders are very tropical.
And then they have the next one is a Cherry Italian Ice, which also I don't get. Lemon Italian Ice. Blue Raspberry Italian Ice. Wow, this list is insane. Tropical Rosé.
Blackberry Breezer. Did we drop that one yet?
Oh my god.
Classic Lime Margarita.
I think Seagal likes the lemon Italian ice.
Blueberry Acai Lemonade. Peach Bellini.
So it's official. It's an official flavor for Predator 2. I apologize profusely for the massive derailment that I knew was going to happen, but I couldn't resist.
No, it's Jamaican me happy, man.
Jamaican me happy, man.
It's got real ganja, man, and chicken bones.
I'm the Wolverine, along with Jarhigo and Orange Sassy Swirl. Folks, we'll be back to the madness in a minute after these words from our sponsor.
Today's episode is sponsored by us.
Folks, we wanted to take a break from the show and just thank everybody so much for tuning in. You can always rate us, review us wherever you get your podcasts if you want to support the show further. And you can also tell somebody to check out the show. And we would urge you to do so because it helps us grow the show and make the show better.
Yeah, it really helps. We really appreciate it. We're really looking to share our thoughts with you guys in terms of the way that the show arrives in your podcast players, but we also want to kind of build a community. So we'd love to chat and hear from you guys about what you like and what you don't like and anything that you'd like us to do episodes on. So shoot us recommendations. And then, to start a bit of a potential tradition of questions specifically, we'd love to hear, what your favorite episode so far has been, and maybe what your least favorite episode so far has been, just so we can kind of understand a bit better what you guys are digging.
Yeah, and what is not being dug at all.
Yeah, we're totally open to the feedback. So you can shoot us responses to the question via email, contact@ebd.fm, or via any of our social channels. So we're at EBD Podcast on most platforms.
And now, back to the mayhem.
Back to Paxton. We kind of breezed right past him in the train sequence.
And we can't do that because he's almost like Carl Urban at this point. This is a Bill Paxton movie.
Bill Paxton as Jerry Lambert. It's pronounced Lambert.
Hey, man, PR's my specialty. But he had his was rocking his Hudson vibe and not like his radar operator vibe from Commando. So we don't get a lot of, you must land your aircraft now. There's really not a lot of that going on in this. It's
no, there's a lot of Chet in there, I think.
Yeah, Chet. Yeah, definitely a little bit Chet there, Hey, Lieutenant, surveillance is my specialty.
I love how he's always just walking around telling stupid-ass jokes.
Oh, my God. Dude, you got to do the underwear one.
What is the underwear one?
Oh, it says something like, the doctor asked me for a urine sample, stool sample, and a semen sample. I said, well, Doc, why don't you just take my underwear?
Oh, yeah, that's right, dude. Oh, man. Yeah, there was a bunch of those, man. But he was, what I liked about Paxton's character, and this is somewhat of a testament to how great Paxton was, is that he was goofy and he was smooth and he actually knew what he was doing. And then, like, at that one point in the bar, like, he totally picks up that chick. He walks up to that guy. He's like, hey, man, you mind? That's my sister. And he's like, hey, you're not my sister. She's like, hi.
Hey.
I was like, that is really tight.
It's so Bill Paxton, too.
You got to appreciate that, man.
I still feel like I don't want to be out of line here, but I feel pretty strongly that him in the convertible with Arnie in True Lions is like peak Bill Paxton. He's got an ass like a 10-year-old boy.
Oh my God, man. He was very similar to Jerry Lambert in that movie.
Perfectly cast.
I agree. One of my favorite lines from True Lies is something I still say all the time that nobody ever gets. It's the training. You react in a microsecond. I guess that's kind of how he would sound.
That's perfect. That was great.
That was a little Bill Clinton, though.
That's all right.
They're similar.
If you go low with Bill Paxton, you kind of get Bill Clinton. It's the training. You react in a microsecond.
If you try to do Paxton too quiet, you end up with Clinton.
Oh, King Billy.
King Billy.
When you try to do him too quiet, he turns into Bill Clinton. It's just the way it goes.
I think now I'm always going to think of King Billy as Bill Clinton.
See, that would have been good.
Anyway, that's what was really cool about Paxton's character, was that he just kind of inhabited all those spaces, man. He wasn't just like the goofball, like who was like slick and he was dressed well, and then he went, running around the corner and got his ass kicked like Larry Manetti as Rick in Magnum. You know what I mean? He could actually deliver on what he was doing, and he really, he sacrifices himself to Jesus Christ, I can't believe I'm saying this like this. He sacrifices himself to save everybody at the end in the subway scene, which is where he delivers, in my opinion, what is his best line in the film and possibly the best line in the film. And that line is, all right, everybody, take a breath. Loosen your sphincters. We don't need any rush hour Rambos. And you kind of like, if you're not really watching carefully, because there's a lot going on in that scene, it's like, the Predator jumps down, the gang members are there. It kind of gets buried a little bit. So I had to actually stop it and rewind it and listen to it again to make sure that I heard it right. But that's what he says. Take a breath, loosen your sphincters. We don't need any rush hour Rambos. I was like, that is the best line in the movie.
That's so good. Paxton.
Paxton.
And Maria Conchita Alonso is very much around that time, too.
I really appreciate, and I'm sure that all of our Latin American listeners will appreciate your pronunciation of her name with accent.
The half-assed attempt at my pronunciation. I think it's Bill Paxton's skull that gets ripped out and spine that gets ripped out by the Predator at the end of that scene, hey, and then brought up to the top of that skyscraper.
I thought it was Danny that had his skull ripped out. Am I wrong?
Isn't that just what the Predators do? That's like the trophy they collect from humans. Or at least in the first movie, that seems like what it was.
That's what I always thought too, Ben.
But I love the fake force lightning at the top of the building with the Predator. That was funny.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was great. But I also liked that in the sense that it showed that the Predators are like their technology, their machinery is fallible. You know what I mean? It's not like their technology can be affected by regular things like on planet Earth as well. So
right. Like water with King, whatever his name was.
King Billy?
King Billy.
The bones.
Yeah.
Like when the Predator goes to kill Bill Clinton and like you can see his reflection in the puddles and the water like shorts out the invisibility stuff.
Yes. We've renamed so many people in this movie. I was like, wait, who's he talking about?
Maybe I should just have Bill Clinton holding a Jamaican Me Happy wine cooler as the accompanying art.
I just had this, side thought of like, I'll just finish this bucket of KFC. I got these chicken bones left over. Can't stop rolling them around.
And now I'm going to enjoy a delicious Jamaican Me Happy.
I picture President Clinton dressed up like a Jamaican Rastafarian. Like it would just be so horrible.
Oh my God.
Bill Clinton as a white dread. That's
He would have been one of the twins from The Matrix. I'm dead.
Oh, there you go. We are becoming aggravated.
Oh, that was worth the death right there.
Fucking twins.
Yeah, that was definitely worth the death.
Not like this. That's kind of Bill Clinton too. What's her name?
It's a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Not like this.
Oh, who? Switch?
We're so far down a fucking rabbit hole right now.
We just cannot get on track.
I don't care. I'm having a laugh. Let's move on to the warehouse scene, man. I love that sequence.
Yeah, we're done with Paxton. He's great. We all know that. This is a great. I'm so glad he was in this movie. Go.
I have a pretty strong memory of just the way that they shot the warehouse scene, where it's all like UV and Busey's got his whole astronaut suit, aluminum foil bullshit, and they're all gonna go and save the day, and they've got this great plan. It just goes to complete shit, just like in Aliens, with the beeper. And I just have a distinct memory of like the Predator only seeing in infrared and then swapping his visor and just be like, "Oh no, he can see them," And
Oh yeah,
I just love that whole sequence. It's so good.
Well, I did too, because I remember seeing this when it came out, and I remember having a similar reaction, Chad. I was watching it, and I was like, oh, man, now he's gonna get it. And then it was like, click, click, and I was like, oh, man, no.
Like, oh, those guys are dead.
Exactly, dude.
And the fake Busey death, where, like, the Predator ends up shooting backwards over his shoulder, like he as a throwaway. He doesn't give a fuck about Busey, and he jumps down to take on Danny Glover. And you think that Busey just got shot to shit, but then he comes back again. It's so funny, man.
That's so good. He literally says something. Guess who's back?
Yeah, exactly.
Guess who's back? It's me, Gary.
That's right. And then he gets cut in half with the frisbee. It's really not. It's not like a frisbee. It's more like the Glaivius or whatever it's called from Krull.
The Glaive.
Right? It's kind of like a mix between the Krull Glaive or whatever the thing was called and like a batarang.
It doesn't spin. It somehow just flies straight.
It just says like weird little sparkles on it.
Gotta love that. And you know what else I loved about that weapon, if I can just digress on that for a second? Like the thing is sort of shown to be so sharp when it's first revealed and then used. But then Danny Glover just takes his belt and puts it through it and then throws it over his arm, and it never cuts him, ever.
Yeah. He like hooks it on his fucking keychain and throws it in his pocket. It's like no biggie.
Pretty sure this thing's safe hanging around my junk.
Exactly.
Speaking of like weaponry cul-de-sacs for a moment, I loved the scene where they're in the forensics lab and the lady's like, let me just stick that in my bleep bloop, and it's like, oh wow, totally unknown periodic tables of elements. it's like I'm picking up traces of animal hormones and blood and cow blood. They must have come from a slaughterhouse. And then Paxton's like, slaughterhouse? That's like the other thing. Let's go to the slaughterhouse district.
That's where Keys was today.
It's just the most perfect scene. Like, oh, fuck, I loved it.
Chad, you just coined a new thing. Like, that is exactly...
Bleep bloop.
Thank you, yes. Like, in these movies, it's always like, let me just throw that in my bleep bloop. But I loved that she was German, too. Like, I actually had that in my notes. I was like... You know, I was like, oh, of course she's German. She's got to be. Let me see that, Lieutenant Harrigan.
I thought she was going to come back later in the movie or something, because they sort of played it up like she was going to be an important character or something, but she just never comes back.
Well, that character is in so many movies, and, you know, usually that character does come back later in the movie and play some key role in, like, figuring out the puzzle, you know, because, I mean, Mike Harrigan's too busy, like, literally breaking down entire walls of buildings.
Howling at everybody.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I loved how she was like, but it's so light. Let me see that, Lieutenant Harrigan. She's like kind of half German, half French. You know, Lieutenant, this is very interesting. When I put it into my bleep bloop...
It shows that there are 4 elements that are not on the periodic table.
My bleep bloop says there are 4 elements that are unknown on the periodic table.
And they also coincidentally have hormones and cow blood. I think they were at a strange alien slaughterhouse. That's house with H-A-U-S, by the way.
Because that's how we spell it in Germany. Yeah. Sorry to all our German fans out there.
So back to the slaughterhouse. Gary Busey, fake death, and the random PJ Sparkles fucking batarang thing. It's just such a great sequence. I love it.
It really is, and like when you're really thinking the Predator's finally going to get his, and then he switches his vision in 2 seconds, you're like, oh man.
But then randomly stands there in front of Danny Glover while getting blasted and doesn't move out of the way.
Well, firstly, I love how they had a tractor-trailer command center, and they took the time to make a Star Trek-style sliding door that was electric on it to get in it.
Yes.
Secondly, when Harrigan's inside with Adam Baldwin, he's noticing that, like, the whole vision thing has changed, and, like, they're not noticing it. Adam Baldwin's not noticing it. And then he gets on the mic, and everybody starts yelling at him. And that's when he's like, I'm going in!
There's a great little mini gear up scene where Harrigan digs into the trunk of goodies and pulls out some serious fucking artillery and a bulletproof vest, and
that we haven't seen before.
Straight up Commando gear up scene for sure.
He's like, to hell with this bullshit. I'm going in.
Always. I feel like that was his attitude in the whole movie.
Get out of my way. To hell with this bullshit. I'm going in.
I finally figured out what this random note I have is. The whole time we've been doing this, I've been trying to figure out what I meant when I said the Predator looks like John Travolta, and I realized that it's when they take the mask off, he with his stupid mandible face. He looks like John Travolta in that movie where he plays an alien.
Oh, in
the stupid Scientology movie.
Yeah. It's the one with Barry Pepper and.
As soon as the mask came off, I was like, holy shit, it's Travolta, man. I love the idea.
Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth?
We should do that one. Holy shit. We'll probably get sued by Scientology, but...
Battlefield Earth, we definitely should do a movie like that. That's like a schlock fest.
It's so bad.
I think that would be good.
Did the demasking of John Travolta here, is that when the "you're one ugly motherfucker" happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so like, come on. They say that in like every movie with a predator and an unmasking. It's like, come on, that's not that funny anymore.
Well, it was only the second movie by that point, so.
Right.
No, Arnold says that in the first one.
Right, but I think that the fact that the predator finishes the thought indicates that, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're familiar with the fact that we think they're ugly motherfuckers.
That's why they're hunting us. They're like, you guys are ugly shaming us. Fuck you guys.
You're hurting our feelings.
Well, after the warehouse scene, the foot chase, the random predator on the roof while Danny Glover driving while looking up at the sky bullshit happens. And then they end up on a roof where they have a little wrestling match, and Danny Glover takes the batarang and straps it to him like a belt, like Benny suggested, after chopping the arm off, which is just a random sequence, but it leads to one of my favorite sequences, which is the predator in the bathroom.
And all of that is totally believable, too. But
100%.
yeah, 100%. So, Ben, as you being the resident construction expert here, you want to just talk about that little stew of drywall and broken glass?
Yes. Blue goop that turns broken mirror shards into
Yes.
alien future bandage.
Yeah, don't forget the drywall, dude. That's what gives him his fiber.
Totally.
It's a little construction humor there for you folks. Little tradesman humor for you folks.
Suddenly Vin Diesel comes running with his stilts on.
I was just gonna say.
Need another bucket of joint compound in here, guys.
Somebody say drywall. Yeah, it's an interesting scene. The predator's just like, let's see here. What
Bunsen burner.
I'll just break some of this out here and smash this and grind that up in the sink.
Little drywall.
Couple of tiles.
Broken glass. Got some.
I didn't remember to bring my mortar and pestle with me, so
got some tile.
A little tile, a little drywall, a little broken glass.
Have you guys seen the sink plug anywhere?
The sink plug, yeah.
Well, I thought that little extendable bowl was pretty tight. Like I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then what was weird to me was that he lights the thing on fire. So I was like, okay, this is like a Coleman camp stove, but like the Predator version, right? Mm-hmm. And then he just starts like pouring all the crap on top of it, and then the flame's gone, but like everything's turned into goo. Or no, the flame is gone, and the garbage is, is in the bowl. And then he's he sprinkles the liquid on it, and it turns into the blue healing goo. This is so weird to even say out loud.
Spackles it all over his body.
Spackles.
And it fucking hurts.
Yeah. I love the lady in the hallway, too. I forget the name of her husband. Bill, wake up. She's just standing there in her nightie.
Somebody in the bathroom.
Oh, it's so good, man. I love that scene.
I gotta say, the lady had a great line. Like, when Harrigan finally comes rolling through there, and he's like, did you see which way he went? No. He goes, it's okay, I'm a cop. She goes, I don't think he gives a shit about that.
Yeah, it was great.
That was one of the best sort of like a quip or a one-liner from like a random character in a movie. That was definitely a good one.
Yeah, it was good stuff. I love it I love leading up to the bathroom that, Glover manages to take one of the Predator's arms off too. Like that's pretty legit. It's when the fight's really getting real.
Yeah, I couldn't remember this, like the various different things that he did to defeat the Predator going in. So I was definitely curious to see that. And it was, it was a pretty legit fight. Like there wasn't anything like ridiculously over the top in terms of like, there's no way Harrigan could have done that. Like he didn't try to like pick the Predator up and throw him in the fire or whatever, like something stupid like that. Like it all seemed pretty plausible. So I definitely give this movie points for that.
Yeah, but at this point, the Predator is on the fucking run. Like at this point, Harrigan is hunting the Predator, and it's pretty clear that the Predator is sort of like sort of seems to figured out that he's met his match and he's in trouble.
Yeah, you lose an arm, you're like, I'm going back to the ship. Fuck this.
All right, let's pack it up.
Well, I suppose that's interesting too because like. Once the elevator shaft thing happens and it drops down into the ship, you realize that the reason the Predator is on the run to this particular building is for that reason, and it really cements the whole on the run thing for sure.
No doubt.
The whole ship, I half forgot the ship ending, and as you mentioned earlier in the show, Kev, it's like the highlight of the film in a way. It's so awesome to see the tech and a really cool set, and then there's multiple Predators and stuff. I really love that.
And some multiple interesting looking skulls in that trophy room, aside from the xenomorph and the human skulls.
Which the Xenomorph, like, in a way, like, we brushed over it earlier, but the Xenomorph being there was, like, one of the earliest examples, to my memory, of an Easter egg. Because I remember as a kid seeing that and being like, is that the fucking alien skull? And just being so pumped about it.
Oh, yeah, dude. Everybody saw that, and everybody thought that, and everybody was stoked about that. And I think you may be right. This is possibly the proto-Easter egg algorithm.
And this is also pre-internet, so there's no, like, looking it up kind of shit. You know, you might read about it in a magazine somewhere, but you just were like, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. There's no way to find out, you know?
No, the internet was when you met up with your buddy on your bicycle, and you were like, dude, did you see in Predator how there was an alien skull? That was sweet.
No way.
Way. I don't believe you. No, it was in there.
Just wait till it comes out of video. You're going to owe me $5.
So, yeah. That's exactly right.
So you want to do your thoughts on the ending, Kev? Because you were pretty stoked on it. I've got some thoughts to follow up.
Yeah, I have two perspectives. I do have some gripes about it, but you know, we've kind of already said it. I mean, here we are at the end of the film. You know, Glover has definitely pretty legitimately beat the hell out of this Predator. The Predator goes into the ship. He follows him. And then we see the trophy room, which is super cool. I don't really know how I felt about all the dry ice fog on the floor. It kind of made it a little cheesy. It was like, okay.
Like a rave?
Well, yeah, man. And like that typically, I don't know. In some films, when you see that fog, it denotes that it's hot. Sometimes it denotes that it's cold. So it's tough to say. But I don't know, it was a little cheesy because the rest of the set was so cool. Like the walls, like they really took their time. The production department really took their time with those. Like the walls were very intricate and like the design and all of that. And I gotta say, like for the size of the room itself, the trophy area of it was kind of small. Like I feel like just bear with me, man. Bear with me.
It's the best Kev complaint. I love
it. Just bear with me, man. Bear with me. So like for a race of predator beings that pride themselves on hunting, like this is like one of their main things. Like you would think that the trophies would sort of take center stage. You know what I mean? Like I kind of dove a little too deeply into predator lore last night, and I feel like a predator episode in general we should do something like that in the future. But like that was my feeling on the trophy thing. Like I would think that they would make the trophies like the thing because they prize these things that they do. They're like huge accomplishments, you know, clearly.
I noticed the same thing, and I have a theory about it. The predator that was hunting Harrigan was a younger one, right?
Yes, that's my theory too.
And that's why he was able to be defeated.
Yep.
And that was his like little corner of the ship and his little trophy case, and that's why it wasn't so heavily populated.
Nice. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, Jarhigo with a neutron bomb. Very nice. Yes.
Yeah, I think this was a rite of passage test for that predator, and the other ones were there to observe the test.
Feeling you, man.
Yeah.
Okay, that is such a sound theory, man. I could totally see that because it was sort of recessed, and then you could see the panel closing later, so it's totally plausible that like the other parts of the walls each had a panel with a trophy section for each predator, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
But you know, I mean, he had an alien skull in there, so fucking Harrigan's pretty badass.
That's true.
Definitely.
There is like a whole bunch of comic lore about like you're not considered like rite of passage until you've killed an alien and xenomorph, but
well, yeah, I didn't really want to go down this road, but yes, I read all that last night. Like that is literally what it is. They breed the xenomorphs on their own planet so they can put the young males through the rite of passage, which is killing a xenomorph. Like if you can kill a xenomorph, like you're good.
Yeah. And I agree, it's not worth digging into because for me, like, I'm not like super stoked on that idea. I prefer personally the idea that like you can rite of passage with any type of hunt, and I think that this particular hunt is a rite of passage test.
I just think that I mean that's a really great theory and that explains a lot and makes the ending for me even better because the movie, as I sort of indicated in the beginning, the movie to me, on the one hand, like one of myself is like it's the beginning with the ridiculous opening and then it's the end because I'm like I want to see the lore. Like you get a lot of lore in like 5 minutes at the end of this movie when he goes onto the ship, and that for me is really cool. That being said, after kind of going on the journey of this particular movie, like I think the Predator lore in general sucks, and there's too many holes in it, and I'm not going to get into it right now. But this movie dropping in that Xenomorph skull and just the pistol and the whole thing at the end, I thought it was awesome. The one thing that kind of deep sixed all that was the fact that the ship was underground in what looked like an abandoned train tunnel. And it's like, how did it even get there undetected?
Yeah.
You know, like that was just dumb.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I saw that there were like fan theories about it and shit. And to be honest, like I don't particularly mind. I totally get the point, and it's a super valid point. But like, you could hand wave it away with like cloaking shit, whatever. Like, I guess,
No doubt, dude. No doubt.
I very much agree with your opinion of the lore as a whole outside of this movie and the first movie as just like not super great. And therefore, like, I feel like how the ship got there is similarly like I don't really mind, because what I'm most interested in is the simple idea of a superior technological race of people that hunt for sport / religion, you know, kind of like a Mandalorian style thing, and keeping it simple with a advanced technological hunting species hunting us as being a terrifying thing is all you really need. And all this other lore shit, like, well, if done differently, might have been amazing. Like, I just don't fucking care. I don't care about the lore.
Yeah, I don't care about the lore because it's so uninteresting and dumb. And it's so contrary to what we see in the films that it just kind of ruins it, man. Like, I read way too much is sort of what I'm driving at. And like,
yeah, I read a bit too.
Yeah, the lore was just like, this lore makes no sense, like, at all.
Well, it makes perfect sense when you consider it's a bunch of people trying to come up with ideas for a comic book series, and you know, let's come up with a story about this. And it's just like, it doesn't do justice to the original ideas. Like, it's not elevating the source material, which we've talked about a lot, you know?
Well, yeah, and I could make a really strong argument that it very much contradicts the original lore and itself, you know? So
Yeah.
it's just whatever. Yeah, exactly that.
I think just like so many other franchises or so many other universes, I'm kind of finding that it's up to me to decide which pieces I'm willing to like be stoked about, and I'm just gonna like not worry about the rest of it. You know, like the Star Wars stuff, like I'm just not worried about anything other than the original trilogy anymore. I don't really care about arguing about it anymore. I'm just gonna like stick with the original. And this is the same, where like you've got Lethal Weapon 1, you've got Lethal Weapon 2, and then this is Lethal Weapon 3. Like, I don't need any more Lethal Weapons, you know what I mean? Like, just leave it where it is.
Agree. All right, I just got to jot down your Star Wars death.
All I'm saying is that people can like other movies and not like other movies. But for me, I'm finding with these universes, there's certain movies in these various universes that I love, and the rest of them I can leave and not be grumpy about and whatever. People can like them and people can not like them, but there's certain movies. So in this case, Predator 1 and Predator 2, I really, really like, and the rest of the movies, I don't care. I just don't really watch them often. I've seen them all and whatever, they're fine. I don't care. But Predator 1 and Predator 2 are fucking awesome. In very different ways, but they're awesome.
Yeah, they're very different animals, but they're great. I would add the TV series stuff as well.
Sorry, yeah, what am I thinking? Dude, Mandalorian is sick.
I like a lot of the animated stuff too. So
Oh, Clone Wars. Yeah, I agree. A Mandalorian would totally take a Predator out.
Yeah, I think so.
No question in my mind.
I was going to argue that The Mandalorian is Predator 3.
The Mandalorian is Predator 3.
Yeah, yeah.
Predator 2 is Lethal Weapon 3.
It's a crazy web we weave.
I would love to see the
That'd be pretty
Mandalorian take out the Predator, because the Predator is Yeah, I mean, just kind of, again, not digressing into like a whole, the Predator lore is terrible, but like the Predators are cool, but they have there's some holes in the whole Predator thing.
They're hunters,
You know,
man.
like-
That's it
So-
couldn't be simpler, and it seems like these various creators have made it overly complex. They're technologically advanced hunters that we're terrified of because we thought we were at the top of the food chain, and the whole thing is hunter and hunted, and that's what I love about them. Anything beyond that is just unnecessary.
Yeah, I prefer it like.
well, anything beyond that
Sure.
is also ruining the original lore. Sorry, Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, when we, I'm sure you guys probably felt the same way, but when the first Predator movie came out, I went to the theater to see it with my parents, and like I
Yeah.
liked that I didn't know that much about the Predator. You know what I mean? It was just a movie creature, and it was a different spin on things, and it was really cool, and it was cool looking, and I really liked it. But then the more that I found out about it, the
Yeah, I totally
less
agree.
interesting it was.
Yeah, this movie didn't get funded until the comic books became a success, evidently, and this movie's plot is based on the comic. But same. Like, it doesn't really. The finer details aren't as relevant as what it sounds like the point that you're trying to make is, which is the simplicity of it was the beauty of it. And you complicate it by giving away all of these various secrets and telling.
Right,
It's like, I
right.
don't fucking care. I want to see a one-on-one hunt, you know? It's the whole point. But to circle back to the end of the film, I love the rite of passagey thing. I love that Danny Glover ends up taking the Predator out, and then the other Predators come in, and he's just like, who's next?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, they're just like paying their respects. Like you're just like, he's fucked, and then they like turn their cloaks on, walk away, and the king shit hands him that old school flintlock pistol, which is just fucking amazing. And I loved the like token of respect nature of that gesture. You know, like it's such a great way to tie that up in a bow with the respect to Danny Glover's character.
Agree. And that was what made the end like the best thing about the movie, was all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right, should we move right along to the NDR?
Nuggets, deaths, ratings. Yep, sounds good to me. Start it up, Benny.
Sure. So we were just talking about Raphael Adolini's pistol from 1715, and this was another sort of Easter egg because there was apparently that was a nod to what the next movie was supposed to be.
What?
They were going to go back in time
Oh.
and have, you know, the Predator and pirates, basically.
Wow, that is super cool. Did they? So, who is Raphael Adolini? Do we know who that is?
A badass pirate captain. Yeah.
Dude.
It would have been so good.
Yeah, basically the Predator is hunting them, and at some point they're like, his crew is robbing like a church, and Raphael Adolini's like, no, you can't fucking do that. You know, like he's like a pirate with some scruples apparently, and his crew is coming after him, and the Predator actually like teams up with him, I guess, because the Predator wants him for himself. And helps him take down the crew that are like, you know, mutinizing. So
Now, how do you know all that? Was that in a comic book or something?
it wasn't a comic. Yeah, I just like I had the thought to look it up, and that's what came up. Like a whole article about it came up.
That is very cool, man.
That would have been such an amazing movie.
I know. And I really, man, I was so pissed about the lore of the Predator because there's some really cool ideas buried in all this stuff. And I just feel like a bunch of nerds ruined it. No, I do, man. I mean, you know, again, without getting into like a whole thing, it's like this whole like clan thing and like the rite of passage and all of that. It's like this is all it's a little primordial for a race that is so technologically advanced. You know, it's like
Sure.
They sort of, and I guess this is one of my major gripes that I said I wasn't going to talk about was like if the hunting and the rite of passage and the xenomorphs, it's like when you read the lore, it makes it sound like that is the most important thing in Predator society. And they actually have a name. It's called the what is it? The Yauta or something like that. And I think that's how you pronounce it. Or the Yauta. And if that's the case, like who who are the members of society making all this technological stuff? Where are the scientists? Where's all that? It does not link up, man. And I also find that the Predators, while cool, rely so much on their technology for their badassery that I really don't think they're that badass. Like, you never see anything in the films, like in terms of like moves or skills that outside of their technology that makes them this super formidable opponent. That's why I think a Mandalorian would take out a Predator in like 3 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, a Mandalorian doesn't need no damn invisibility cloak. He got a real cloak.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's why I feel like it's straight up sport hunting. Like,
Yeah.
one of us in the woods with some sweet tech, like, we're just a bunch of fucking dumbass humans. Like, you put a human with a bunch of high tech shit in an African savannah hunting lions illegally, like, a lion would fuck you up if you didn't have all your fancy bullshit. I feel like it's something similar, you know, and I kind of like that idea in a way, you know. But I'm very much aligned with what you're saying, though. Like, it's not that what I'm hearing is not that you're saying that it's lame that the Predators aren't super strong ninjas. It's just that, like, instead of keeping it simple, they came up with all this weird fucking lore that wasn't relevant to the topic at hand, you know.
exactly. It doesn't fit anything. And it makes the character himself like even lamer than he,
Yeah.
like, just lamer. Like, it's not a lame character. Like Ben said, like at the beginning, when you watch Predator 1, you're just like, this is great. I don't need to know anymore. And then when you see Predator 2, you're like, okay, I got a little bit more lore here and I'm very happy with that. I don't need any more, you know? And then it's like, it just gets ruined. Because I would totally dig seeing that pirate movie and then somewhere The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Just to tack on a nugget there, which wasn't officially one of my nuggets, but there's evidently another comic that is Harrigan's story 25 years after this movie, and it takes place in Rio de Janeiro, and
Really?
his sidekick in the comic is Adam Baldwin's character, and they end up in another Predator situation. So there's actually like a bit of additional stuff there. Whether it's good or not, I don't know.
I like that. The idea, the premise of that sounds pretty cool.
The idea of a Predator in a favela in Rio with a 60-something-year-old Harrigan is interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Did you have any nuglets, Kev?
I had a couple. I'm only remembering one at the moment because I didn't write them all down. But the guy that played Danny, Ben probably knows this. Ruben Blades.
Ruben Blades. Yeah.
Is a multiple Grammy award-winning salsa musician. Like, he is
No shit.
very well known in the Latin American world for his music, way more than his acting. And I thought he was excellent in this movie. Like, I know he's only in it for about 15 minutes, but he's really great, you know, and certain actors you see, like, they can do a lot with very little, you know, and he really did a great job. And I just thought that was cool, man. You know, it's like you kind of see him in this movie, very easy to write off, like, you know, another Latin American character. And I was stoked that they represented the Latin American community in this movie, Maria Conchita Alonso and Ruben Blades. But I just thought that was cool and totally noteworthy too, man. It's like, my God, I didn't realize the guy he's won like 9 Grammys, been nominated for many, many more than that.
That's crazy.
I did not know that.
Very well respected too.
Well, if you can't remember any of yours, I've got a couple.
Go, maybe it'll jog my memory. I had a couple others.
So, the Predator blood?
Oh, damn it. That was one of mine. Yeah.
Was that one? It's glow stick juice and KY jelly, which I thought was kind of interesting and funny.
Yep. And if I can just add on to that, they have not changed that formula since the first film. So every single Predator movie, that is what they used. They never changed it because they never needed to. I thought that was kind of neat.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's it. It's so cool.
Exactamundo.
Evidently, for the last scene with all of the Predators, they needed some tall actors, and Danny Glover was buddies with a bunch of LA Lakers and invited them to come and put on the suits, and so a variety of those people are LA Lakers, which I thought was quite funny.
I read that too. I thought that was cool. And also, Kevin Peter Hall, who plays, I guess this is another nugget, Kevin Peter Hall, who plays the Predator in the first 2 films, he also played the sort of the Grandmaster Predator, the elder at the end, who throws him the pistol.
And Harry from Harry and the Hendersons.
And Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. Yep, I read that too.
Nice.
My final nugget is at one point Patrick Swayze was approached to star in this movie, but was unable because he was injured during the filming of Roadhouse.
Oh,
That's a Kev nugget.
Dude.
that is a good one for Kev.
Damn, man. We got to start digging into some Swayze soon.
Oh, we are. Don't you worry. I know that this is not really a nugget per se. I guess it is. Arnold was supposed to be in this movie really kind of either as part of the Keys component or in the Keys role or instead of Keys. But there was a paycheck dispute. You know, there was a financial compensation dispute, so he backed out of the movie. So he was supposed to be in this, and certainly not as Danny Glover's character, nothing like that. I think that was going to stay the same, and then he either would have been sort of with Keys or, you know, that whole thing. I thought that was kind of neat and disappointing at the same time.
Yeah. It's interesting you should say that because it jogged a memory of this movie is based on some comics, and the comics were urban jungle cop, same as the film, but the cop character is played by Dutch's brother.
Ooh, I like that, man.
So that was the original idea pre this screenplay being written, was Dutch's brother is a cop in LA, or I think whatever city, and same all the way through.
I also have, I just remembered another small one. They didn't have as much budget to work with on the first one, even though it grossed way more money than this one. So on this one, they had a bigger production budget. So Stan Winston was given a little bit more latitude to do what he wanted to do. So they were able to make the various different Predators look different. And the Predator in this one, who is, you know, obviously not the same as the one in the first film, they made him sort of more urban looking, like kind of a urban feel to it. That's why he kind of looked the way that he did with his armor and his various different weapons and stuff like that. I thought that was kind of a cool little nugget that they took the time to put that kind of energy into it. You know, I dig that.
We didn't really take the time to talk about Winston at all, but he's a legend, man.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. We were too busy going down 25 cul-de-sacs about Seagrams freaking Jamaican me happy, but whatever.
Which I was pretty happy about. But
I was very happy about it. It made me laugh a lot.
Yeah.
one other thing that we didn't touch on that I just want to say out loud is I fucking love the Predator franchise music. Like the drums and the like all the shit that they brought over from the first movie into this. Like I just love so much of that stuff.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because we didn't talk about Alan Silvestri, who did the score. We didn't really talk about the score at all. And Alan Silvestri has done, you know, he's one of those legends. He did all the Back to the Future movies, like, you know, just tons and tons of Hollywood films. This one actually had a couple of little tinges of some kind of alien sounding score in it. And I kind of dug that, like just little touches here and there. And I really dug that. I was like, that kind of reminds me of the Alien soundtrack, you know? So I dug that. And I agree with you, Chad. Like I like the mix of, you know, just sort of classic Hollywood score music and then like the drum kind of stuff and all of that. It was really, really great. Agreed.
A random late place to throw it in there, but I loved it.
Yeah, sorry, I got to do one more of those because this is so noteworthy, man. Because it was such a thing back at that time period. Morton Downey Jr., who is the long-lost cousin of Robert Downey Jr., played Tony Pope, the reporter for Hardcore, you know? And I don't know if you guys remember, but Morton Downey Jr. was like, for a while there, he was just everywhere. Not in terms of like being in films, but he had a talk show and he was constantly chain smoking on the talk show. And he was just super abrasive, man. And like he got a lot of attention around that time. I don't know. Do you guys remember that or not?
Yes.
I don't remember that. And I, for whatever reason, as I mentioned in our Die Hard 2 episode, confuse the two newsy dudes constantly. But I completely agree that he's a weird fucking chain smoky proto Jerry Springer dickhead in this movie.
All right. Anyway, let's move on to deaths.
It's making me think of Robert Downey Jr. playing Wayne Gale in Natural Born Killers.
Oh, good call. Yeah.
There you go. All right. So deaths. I got Jarhigo. He managed to stay alive. No death by the Predator. Nothing.
I'm disappointed, Heegs.
I had an ejection death. I know. I'm kind of disappointed too, but what are you gonna do?
You shouldn't be rewarded for staying alive in a show called In This Episode Everybody Dies.
That was a death right there. And then I also had an ejection death.
Yep.
I can't remember what I was ejecting on. It doesn't matter. Chad, you had very straightforward Matrix and Star Wars deaths.
I had a twofer.
Yeah, you nailed both of those, man.
I had a 2 for Hawat death.
Exactly.
2 for Hawat.
I thought you'd like that. I was hoping you'd pick that up.
Shit. That's good.
All right, so ratings. Chad, you picked it. This is your pick, so you go first.
All right, I'll go first. Yeah. Okay. This movie is My Big Trouble in Little China.
Whoa.
Ooh.
I'm not going to argue that it's as good as Big Trouble in Little China from your guys' perspectives. It's not the same kind of movie, but 12-year-old me loved the hell out of this movie, and it was exactly the kind of forbidden thing that the 12-year-olds want to see, you know? Like, I probably snuck this movie somehow on VHS, and my parents didn't know I watched it because of how horribly violent and sci-fi-ish and drawing in your notebook weapon stupidity it is, but I loved the hell out of this when I was a kid. Doesn't mean it's going to get like an artificially super high rating, but it's still a really good flick that I really like. So,
right.
On the algorithm, a 5 is a good movie, a 6 is really good, and a 7 is a great. And this is a high 5. It's a 5.7. It's just above Goodfellas, in the neighborhood of Terminator 1 and Alien 1, which for me, I prefer both Terminator 2 and Aliens, but it holds good company.
Wow. I gotta say, man, I really thought that based on what you were kind of ramping up with, that this would be a solid 7. If this is like your Big Trouble.
It just isn't, you know, in terms of the algorithm. I have a real soft spot for it, but I don't think the soft spot should elevate it too much. Like, it's in good company, man. I mean, Goodfellas, Terminator 1, and Alien is some fucking sweet company for a movie like this. Like, the movie is not as good as those movies, so maybe that's where the nostalgia elevates it too, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And just for reference, Predator 1 on the algorithm has a 9.2, so they're fucking night and day.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that definitely puts it in perspective.
Predator 1 is a legendary movie, and I have had conversations in the past where, like, it has been argued as the greatest action movie of all time. So, like, this is a great movie, I enjoy it, but it is not a Predator 1, you know what I mean? But I still, really, really dig it, and really enjoyed watching it this week.
That's pretty intense. Okay, I like it. Benny.
All right, I really enjoyed this one. I had a great time watching it. I'm glad it was sort of with fresh eyes, and you know, I liked the setting. I thought the cast was great. I loved seeing Danny Glover in a lead. I thought he was awesome. I'm giving this one 4 out of 5 buckets of sweat. Anybody who's seen this movie will know that pretty much every character is either dewy or straight dripping with sweat through the entire film.
Dripping. Just
That's
dripping,
awesome.
Man. Absolutely dripping. I love that. It was something we never even brought up. I mean, the amount of sweat, you're right.
I was kind of hoping it would come up because I picked that one like on the first watch. I was just like, Jesus Christ, like, dude, take off your suit jacket. You're fucking soaked. Like,
I know. Can somebody get this guy a shower?
So good. I love it.
You know, I love it, and I'm really glad to see the algorithm is back working at 100% again.
the improbability drive. Yes.
Sorry, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. The improbability drive, because when it's not around, I definitely miss it.
Yeah, it's not always. There's not always the right kind of fuel, you know. So I'm finding
You need, what is it? Do you need seaplane fuel? Sea aviation fuel?
need yes, type 2.
Type 2.
Is amphibious fuel.
Amphibious. Oh, God.
Only works on amphibious improbability drives.
Fair enough. Kev, what do you got?
I'm going to give this movie a 7.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I enjoyed it on the one hand as a straight up over the top action movie. I think I'm also slightly fatigued on movies like that because we've done a lot of them. I don't know. I thought the end with the lore was kind of the the best part of it for me watching it this time. I dug it, even though there were some holes in that, and the over-the-top opening was good. But there's just so much ridiculous dialogue in this movie. Things that I forgot to even mention, like, the kid at the cemetery, like gets out of the car with his gun and he goes, "Take that, you scum-sucking dog." I was like, wow, that's a little intense for a little kid,
I did love the Want Some Candy, though. That has got a special place in my heart.
Yeah, there was some other lines, too, like Harrigan says, "Keys in his butt, boys." I was like, wow, okay. The computer voice was great, too, describing Harrigan and what a lout he is, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Lieutenant Mike Harrigan. Some just ridiculous, donkulous dialogue in this movie. So, yeah, I give it a 7. It's like the whole thing with the lore. I don't know. I'm slightly confused about how I feel, but yeah, I'm sticking with a 7.
Nice. A solid rating for an interestingly weird movie.
Yeah, it is. It's got a lot of interesting elements to it, for sure.
And the 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think, is way out of line.
Way out of line.
I think it's out of line too. Yeah, this should be up in the low good range. You know what I mean? Like 60% or whatever.
Yeah.
Or mid 50s or whatever. So at any rate, what's coming up next? Algorithm. Orange Sassy Swirl.
Orange Sassy Swirl.
We've decided to take on a legend that we've mentioned eons ago. A legend that wears Chuck Connors and not a hell of a lot else. We're going to be watching Zardoz next week.
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
Well, there you have it, folks. So get excited for that. Zardoz next week, starring Sean Connery.
Zardoz.
And his long-lost brother Sargon will be there.
Sargon.
That should be fun. Sargon will be joining us here in the studio in Valverde for that episode. So anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in for this, I don't know, whatever you call this mess of an episode.
Throwback hilarity of an episode.
Throwback hilarity. Exactly. And we will see you next week for Zardoz.
See you guys.
Later.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. You can find the show notes for this episode in your podcast app of choice or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/70. You can find us at most social media locations, folks, at EBD Podcast. So please check us out there. A lot of conversation going on Instagram, so please feel free to jump in and join in the conversation. If you'd like to support the show, there's a couple great ways to do it. You can rate us and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever, or you can tell a friend to check out the show. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful and incredibly important. You can find me at Mulverine on Twitter. You can find Chad at ChadNormal on Twitter, and you can find Ben at Jarkigo on Twitter. You can also contact us using the Twitter hashtag AskEBD. You can make requests there. You can also do that via email, contact@ebd.fm. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please join us next week for Zardoz, and we will see you next time. Thanks again, folks.